Here's a scary thought for y'all. We here at the Conservative Pelican are starting to develop a little bit of an audience. And a couple weeks ago, had our very first video request. And that was for a request to do a political quiz from the website gotoquiz.com. And the title of the quiz is "Where are you on the political spectrum?" Okay. So I decided to take the quiz, and we're going to follow along here and see where I am on the political spectrum, which hopefully the outcome will be at least somewhat conservative. And by the way, I really like taking quizzes. Now, I don't like taking quizzes that are, academic for college courses, but I do like the ones that, the fun quizzes. There's a big fad probably 3 or 4 years ago on Facebook that contained quizzes. There's like quizzes every day that your friends were doing. You just had to do the same thing. Kind of gotten away from this, but this gotoquiz.com website, you can probably spend all day doing quizzes. Pretty cool stuff. And so I want to thank our buddy Corey for recommending that. But okay, let me go ahead and let's take the quiz. First question, very easy. What is your age? What is your gender? Number 2. Number 3, now we're getting into the subject matter. Number 3 says, you believe a balanced budget is A, desirable, B, should only be achieved by cutting spending, C, should only be achieved by raising taxes, D, is a worthy goal after huge tax cut induced deficits force massive government spending cuts, and the final response you can pick from is can only be accomplished by both increasing taxes and cutting spending. I put should only be achieved by cutting spending. There you go. Okay. 4. Taxes should be as low as possible, or taxes should be flat, taxes should be progressive, taxes are a necessary evil, or taxes should be as high as possible on the rich. I went with, I would hope that if you are conservative, you'll pick the following answer. Yeah, taxes should be as low as possible. It's my money, darn it. Number 5. What are your attitudes about healthcare? It should be a right in any advanced society, or our current system should not be changed. We have the best system in the world. Option 3 is costs need to be contained. Option 4 is we need a public option to keep insurance companies honest. Option 5 is single payer is the only way to go. Or option 6, let market forces improve the system. To go with option 3, costs need to be contained. I'm a free market guy most of the time, but been hearing a lot of horror stories, both post Obamacare and before Obamacare passed, about people with these that through no fault of their own they get sick, and all of a sudden they get saddled with these big medical bills. I mean, we're talking $10, $50, $100,000. It's crazy. So absolutely, costs need to be contained. Now, how do we do that? That's the big question of the day. I don't know. Certainly, though, as a conservative, I don't necessarily think more government is the answer, but all options need to be looked at on the table. The biggest thing for me is to allow competition across state lines. In other words, if you live in North Carolina and you see a policy in Wyoming that's cheaper and has what you want, you should be able to buy that policy, right? Okay, number 6, welfare. Welfare should be available for only a limited time. Welfare should be available only for children. Welfare should not exist. Nobody owes anyone anything. or welfare and other related services should be available as a safety net, or the last option is welfare and other similar services must be available to the poor as long as necessary to guarantee basic human dignity. People should also be provided with the education, health care, and child care they need to find a job and leave welfare. I'm going to have to go with should only be available for a limited time. I've fallen on hard times, and I'm sure many of you who are watching this have probably fallen on some hard times too. Everybody needs help at some point in their life. The key is get some help for a month or two and find a job, get back on your feet. Exactly. Don't use welfare as a permanent source of income, which unfortunately there's a lot of people out there who game the system. It's a bad thing. Number 7, the homeless are that way by choice, or are mostly mentally ill, or you can say are that way because they can't afford housing, or they should get a job and be given a one-way bus ticket, or the final choice is should be provided with adequate housing and services. Gonna have to go with should get a job. That one sounds good. Number 8, the government suddenly has a surplus. We should cut taxes, it's our money, or we should restore programs that were cut and fund new initiatives, or we should save the surplus for a rainy day, or we have option 4, which is all of the above, or we can do 2 and 3, restore programs that were cut, fund new initiatives, and save the surplus. Gonna have to go with cut taxes. I think that's the best one of the bunch. Number 9, which statement is closest to your attitude? Spending money on a situation does not improve the situation. Option 2, spending money on a situation is the only way to improve a situation. Option 3, spending money on a problem may not always solve a problem, but spending money on a problem will never solve the problem. Option 4, spend money when necessary, but lower cost first. Number 5, I don't care if you solve the problem or not, just don't raise my taxes. Final option is the government should only spend money on national security and law enforcement. Let's go with option 4. Spend money when necessary, but lower cost first. Question 10. Which best describes your attitude towards higher education? It should be a right in advanced societies. It should be affordable for everyone. Or option 3, nobody owes you anything. Get a job and finance it yourself. Or option 4, you need to get a job if you can't afford it, but the government should pick up the rest. I'm going to have to go with the last option there. Yeah, get a job if you can't afford it, but the government should pick up the rest. The thing is, though, the even better thing the government picking up the rest is if a private business picks up the rest. There is a program that I'm getting ready to enter next week, July 1st, called the Guild Education Program, which is one where you can get a bachelor's degree in business or technology. Mine's going to be business administration, and through my employer, Walmart, I pay $1 a day, okay? And yes, my books and the rest of my tuition are paid for already. Pretty cool gig. But there are certainly some deadbeat employers who don't want to do that, and you have a lot of times the problem with poverty in this country is you have people who want to get a college degree and they want to move up the income ladder, but they're stuck. So absolutely, get a job, okay, but always have, pay a little bit towards your college, but, if the government has to be involved on that issue, so be it. Okay, number 11. The U.S. should fight wars only when attacked, or when we or our allies are attacked, or when we or our allies are attacked and for humanitarian reasons, or option 4, when it is in our security or economic interest. Finally, option 5, never. I have to go with when it is in our security or economic interest. Certainly now, 20 years ago, fighting in the Middle East would be essential because the Middle East had the majority of the world's oil supply. Now, though, we don't really have, as far as the oil market goes, the United States produces the largest amount of oil, so therefore we really don't have as much of an interest in fighting there anymore than we did 20 years ago. Okay, number 12, your attitude towards the Iraq War. Option 1, there are no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, had nothing to do with September 11th. We need to get out ASAP. Option 2, regardless of weapons of mass destruction status, removing Saddam Hussein was a good thing. Option 3, although removing Saddam Hussein was a good thing, it wasn't worth the deaths resulting from the war. Option 4, we need to exit the war ASAP, but in an orderly fashion. Option 5, we should not exit the war until we won. I like option 2, regardless of weapons of mass destruction status. Removing Saddam Hussein was a good thing. Question 13. How should the United States deal with Iran? This is pretty heavy in the news right now, right? We should A, hit them with a preemptive strike. B, allow Israel to hit them with a preemptive strike. C, impose sanctions. Option 4, negotiate with no preconditions. Option 5, negotiate with no preconditions and impose sanctions if they fail. Or option 6, negotiate with no preconditions while leaving no potential response off the table if talks fail. This one, to go with negotiate with no preconditions and impose sanctions if they fail. Option 14, what should we do with suspected terrorist? I have to be honest with you, folks. These ought to be, folks, not facts. These questions currently with foreign policy is not really my cup of tea, if you know what I mean. But we're gonna get through this. Okay, what should we do with suspected terrorists? Question number 14. We should A, hold them outside the country without formal charges, torturing them if necessary to get information. Option B, prosecute them with military tribunals and then hold them outside the country, torturing them if necessary to get information. Option 3, give them due process. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Those found guilty will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Or the final option is give them due process. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Those found guilty will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law with the exception of the death penalty. I think option 2 is the correct one. Prosecute them with military tribunals and then hold them outside the country, torturing them if necessary to get information. Question number 15. Your feelings on torture. It is morally wrong and should never be permitted. Or it is something that should never be permitted because it endangers American and Allied troops and civilians. It also produces too many false positives. Option 3, torture should be performed only in Jack Bauer situations, whatever that is. Option 4, it is repugnant. Big word there. It is repugnant, but a necessary tool to get information in rare situations. Or the final option, we should have no qualms about torturing terrorists. The terrorists don't care how much suffering they've caused. Yeah, I like the last option. We should have no qualms about torturing terrorists. The terrorists don't care how much suffering they've caused. Question 16, warrantless surveillance should never be an option. The current warrant system grants enough flexibility to monitor terrorist activities. Without warrants, a president could spy on political enemies, as Richard Nixon did. Or option 2, warrantless surveillance should be used only in limited situations to prevent the trampling of the Fourth Amendment. Option 3, warrantless surveillance should be used when necessary. There should never be any restrictions on terrorist-related intelligence activities. National security trumps the Fourth Amendment. I'm to go with warrantless surveillance should never be an option. Number 17, Dick Cheney. Should he shut up and go hunting, preferably with other right-wing loudmouths? Dick Cheney should be prosecuted. Dick Cheney and other Bush officials should have been prosecuted when in office, but pursuing them would distract us from pursuing important policy goals. Excuse me. Dick Cheney performs a useful service when he criticizes the Obama administration. Yeah, that one's the best. Performs a useful service when he criticizes the Obama administration. Question 18. Israel is an important democratic ally in a hostile region. Option 2. Israel is surrounded by 300 million hostile Arabs and Muslims, most of whom deny its right to exist. There should be a two-state solution only after its enemies agree to normalize relations and cease terrorist activities. It should not be forced to give up any of Israel. Option 3 is what I just read, minus it should not be forced to give up any of Israel. Option 4 is what I just read, except it should be forced to give up Israel, and it should free free settlement expansion. Option 5. Israel should not give up 1 inch of biblical land. A Palestinian state already exists. It's called Jordan. Option 6. It is a colonial apartheid state responsible for most Middle East violence. It should be replaced by a secular Palestinian state. This one, the short answer, makes sense to me. Israel is an important democratic ally in a hostile region. 19. Global warming is human-produced scientific fact and already impacting the planet. Option 2, global warming is potentially dangerous. Not political dangerous, maybe that is too, but global warming is potentially dangerous but won't affect us until the future. Option 3, global warming may not be the result of human activity but still poses a threat. Option 4, global warming does not exist. I have scientific evidence to the contrary. Global warming is a myth. Have you been outside this summer? Yeah, I'm going to go with the last one. It's a myth. Have you been outside this summer? Question 20, your attitude towards offshore drilling. Drill, baby, drill. Or we cannot drill anywhere that will damage the environment. Fossil fuel independence is also a matter of national security. Or we need to reduce fossil fuel dependence regardless if we drill offshore. It is a matter of national security. Or the final option, we need to drill and reduce long-term fossil fuel dependence by developing new technology. I like the first one. Drill, baby, drill. Number 21, nuclear weapons should never be used, or they should be used only in response to a nuclear attack. Option 3, they can be used tactically. Or option 4, should be used anytime it suits the national interest. I like option 4. Should be used anytime it suits national interest. 22. Tea Partiers are a grassroots movement protesting budget deficits, taxes, and socialism. Or are Tea Partiers a bunch of right-wing goons supported by corporate interests? Or are they grassroots activists with some funding from conservative groups, which is no different than groups like MoveOn.org funding liberal protests? Or are Tea Partiers a movement as small as the brains of its members? I like the first one, a grassroots movement protesting budget deficits, taxes, and socialism. Number 23, the minimum wage. It's too low for anyone to live on. It should be replaced by a living wage. Option 2, cost jobs because employers will cut workers when forced to increase the money spent on compensation. Option 3, the minimum wage should be adjusted for inflation. Option 4, it should be set by supply and demand. I like the third one. It should be adjusted for inflation. Now, I know some of my fellow Republicans are going to go nuts here, but look, the fact of the matter is, the minimum wage has not been increased in 10 years, okay? Think about it. The cost of pretty much everything else across the board has gone up pretty substantially in the last 10 years, right? So here's my solution. the Democrats want $15 an hour. No, that's too high. $12 an hour. No, $10 an hour. I would say, look, we raised the minimum wage. The last time the minimum wage was raised was 10 years ago, right? But it was a tiered increase. It was like $5.15 an hour in 2007, and in 2009 it was at $7.25. So it went up basically $2. Here's my thinking, right? Okay, you increase the minimum wage in a tiered way by over the next 3 years, you get it up to $10 an hour. But the first year, you go to $8.25, $9.25, and then $10 an hour. And then after that, every year it goes up for inflation. Okay. Question 24. Which best describes your opinion on abortion? It should be safe, legal, and rare, or it should be outlawed in all situations, or it should be legal in all situations. No one has the right to tell a woman what to do with their body. Option 4, it should be legal, but I don't want to pay for it. Option 5, it should be legal only if the woman's life or health is in danger. Or option 6, I'm pro-choice, but think there should be restrictions. I don't think it should be used as a birth control method. I'm going to go with the second option. It should be outlawed in all situations. Absolutely. 25. What is your opinion about drug legalization? Option 1, medical marijuana should be available. Option 2, the softer ones should be legal. Option 3, the softer ones should be legal. And possession of other drugs should be decriminalized. Option 4, everything should be legal. Option 5, medical marijuana should be illegal. First-time drug use offenders should be given the option of treatment or prison. Otherwise, all users and dealers should serve time. Or the final option is medical marijuana should be illegal. All users and dealers should serve time and be punished severely. I'm gonna have to go with medical marijuana should be available. 26. What is your opinion of gay marriage? Option 1, it should be legal. It is a matter of fairness and civil rights. Option 2, rights enjoyed by married couples can be provided to gays via civil unions or domestic partnerships. Marriage should be defined only as a union between a man and a woman. Option 3, it should never be legal, and gay relationships should never receive any of the rights and privileges endemic to marriage. Read Leviticus. Or option 4, states should decide if they want same-sex marriage, civil unions, or no legal remedy at all. I like option 2. The civil unions, domestic partnerships, I don't have a problem with that, but I still do think as far as a law, marriage should be between man and woman. Number 27, your opinion on gun control. Number 1, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Number 2, people with guns kill people. Number 3, the Second Amendment says I have the right to an automatic weapon. Number 4, the Second Amendment discusses militia. The right to bear arms only refers to militia. It was not meant to guarantee the rights of individuals to possess weapons. Option 5, no matter how strict gun control laws become, criminals will always find a way of obtaining firearms. Or number 6, we need stricter policies nationwide to prevent crazy people like the Pittsburgh Health Club and Virginia Tech killers from embarking on killing sprees. I like option 5. No matter how strict gun control laws become, there is always going to be crazy people still getting firearms. Number 28, your feelings on the death penalty. I'm against it. I'm for it. I'm for it only in instances of mass murder or terror. I favor the death penalty in concept, but I'm against its implementation because minorities convicted of murder receive capital sentences disproportionately more frequently than whites convicted of similar crimes. Or the following is, I'm against it, but have problems telling victims, friends, and relatives they don't deserve revenge. I'm going to say I'm for it. Yep, for the death penalty. Number 29, affirmative action causes white males to be discriminated against, or it is needed to correct past and current discrimination and bias, or it is still necessary, but I am against formal quotas. Option 4, it has outlived its usefulness. Option 5 is wrong. We live in a meritocracy, and hiring and admissions decisions should be made based on objective criteria, independent of race, gender, ethnicity, religion, etc. Yeah, affirmative action, yeah, it's wrong. And hiring and admissions decisions should be made based on objective criteria, independent of race, gender, ethnicity, and religion. Question 30. Well, this is a good one. How do we fix Social Security? Option 1, it ain't broke. Option 2, privatize it. Option 3, allow people to make their own investment decisions on a portion of their Social Security money. Option 4, eliminate the regressive wage cap, where payroll taxes are no longer collected on income above certain levels. Or option 5, raise income cap levels and tweak retirement age and eligibility standards. I am all for privatized Social Security. To be honest with you, I would love to repeal it and say, okay, if you're 45 or older, you still can get Social Security, but if you're 45 or younger, you have the option to opt out, and the government can stop stealing money from your paycheck every 2 weeks. Number 31. No one is accusing you of being the type of person who would believe in conspiracy theories. However, just for fun, pick the conspiracy theory you think is the most likely to be true. Theory 1. Humans never landed on the moon. Theory 2. Obama is an African-born Muslim. Theory 3. September 11th was an inside job by the Bush administration. Theory 4, the world is controlled by a shadow government of industrialists and secret society members. Option 5, large corporations and the extreme wealthy conspire to help governments friendly to their needs and hurt those hostile to them. Option 6, aliens landed in Roswell, and most technology developed since then, such as computers, are the product of alien knowledge. I'm going to go with the second one. Obama is an African-born Muslim. He looks like one. Yeah, he does. Number 32. Favorite dead economist or political philosopher? Adam Smith, Thomas Paine, John Maynard Keynes, Karl Marx, Milton Friedman, or Jude Wanniski. I'm going to go with Milton Friedman. 33. Favorite live-in economist or economic philosopher? You can choose from Robert Reich, Paul Krugman, Arthur Laffer, Susie Orman, or Ben Stein. I'm going to go with Arthur Laffer. The Laffer curve under the Reagan economic boom. Favorite president post-1932? FDR, JFK, Reagan, Nixon, Eisenhower, Clinton. I'm going to go with Reagan. Number 35. Author, Ayn Rand, Hemingway, Steinbeck, Von Goethe, or Twain. Go with Steinbeck on that one. I've never read his books, but I heard they were good. Grapes of Wrath, another one I think. Travels with Charlie, some other road trip books or something like that. Okay, 36. TV commentator. I wish they had Mark Levin on this one, but they don't. They have Bill O'Reilly, Keith Olbermann, Rachel Maddow, aka Mad Cow, Anderson Cooper Pooper, or Glenn Beck. Let's go with Glenn Beck. 37. Movie quotes. Greed is good from Wall Street. I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore from Network. There is only so much money a man can have. The rest is just a show off. Forrest Gump. Starship Troopers. Forces settled more issues in history than any other factor. The contrary opinion, violence never solves anything, is wishful thinking at its worst. People who forget that always pay. They pay with their lives and their freedom. The American president. we've got serious problems and we need serious people. And if you want to talk about character, Bob, you better come at me with more than a burning flag and a membership card. If you want to talk about character and American values, fine. Just tell me where and when and I'll show up. This is a time for serious people, Bob, and your 15 minutes are up. My name is Andrew Shepard and I am the president. Musical performers, number 38, Kiss, U2, Toby Keith, Ted Nugent, Bruce Springsteen, Kanye West. I'm going to go with Bruce Springsteen on that one, although U2 is a close second there. 39, School Prayer. It happens every day when a student doesn't study for a test or complete homework. Option 2, it doesn't belong in public schools. We have separation of church and state. Option 3, should be part of the curriculum. We are a Christian nation. Option 4, a non-denominational moment of silence or prayer and meditation would be okay. Option 5, it should be up to the individual school districts. I'm to go with we are a Christian nation. It should be part of the curriculum. Question 40, sex education should be abstinent only, should be age appropriate. And then the final option is, although abstinence is the only way to guarantee that an individual remains pregnancy and disease free, it is not realistic to assume that teens will be absent just because an adult tells them to be. Therefore, sex education curriculums must teach about birth control options and disease prevention. Yeah, the last one. Yeah, because the world we live in today, it's just it's crazy, you know. And the sex education issue, people got to be as knowledgeable, transparent, and as open as they possibly can on that. That is not an issue, in my opinion, where the school system should be, you know, the students 11, 12, 13 years old, their hormones are going crazy, okay? But yet the school system is abstinence, you know, and they're not going to, most of them are not going to get married in another 10, 15, 20, 30 years or so. Yet, at the time, their equipment, you know, was going crazy. Their hormones and their, you know, stuff down there, I should say. Okay, the last question. Should the drinking age be changed to 18? Option 1 says yes, 18-year-olds can vote, they get married and die for their country, they should be entitled to legally drink. Option 2, no, all states increased the drinking age 21 more than 2.5 decades ago has saved lives. Option 3, it should be up to the states to decide. States that decrease the age should not be penalized with highway reduction highway funding, I think is what they mean. Option 4, the drinking age should be reduced for wine, beer, and other beverages with similar alcohol percentages. Or option 5, the age to smoke tobacco should also be 21. The first option, yeah, I mean, if you're old enough to vote, get married, and die for your country, I mean, drinking, yeah, come on, yeah, you should, absolutely. Okay. And the results of the quiz say that I am a conservative, 86% conservative. It says I favor balanced budgets as long as they are achieved without raising taxes. I believe government should rarely interfere with the economy, but I am likely to advocate government interference with people's personal lives, with the possible exception of gun ownership. And I prefer the suffering of many to one person game in the system. It then says I'm 85% a wing nut, 61% libertarian, 59% moderate, 18% liberal, or 4% lefty. So there you go. So please, if you haven't yet, go to gotoquiz.com, okay, and take the Where Are You on the Political Spectrum page. You're going to scroll down when you get to the gotoquiz.com homepage, go under political, click the politics button, and it should be like the third or fourth option down is Where Are You on the Political Spectrum. So for the Conservative Pelican, which thankfully was reaffirmed today with this quiz, thank you very much, I am, in fact, Bobby Crawford. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.